Semoya Msoke, and we have several topics for discussion this morning. I cannot call Honorable Semoju and Mr. Moses Biarawanga to the microphone. They are having their second banana each, but they are most welcome to Gang. The guests we're starting with is Dr. Emmanuel Iyamulemye of Managing Director, Uganda Coffee. Is it UDC? Coffee Development Corporation. Authority. Okay. UCDA. You're most welcome to Gang once again, Dr. Iyamulemye.
Thank you, Oscar.
When people are MDs, they also have another name. It's Niyibigira. Is that the correct way to say it? Niyibigira. Well, most welcome to Gang. So, the coffee roadmap, I've been reading some literature on a coffee roadmap. You are working towards getting 20 million bags by 2026. Is that the plan?
By 2030.
By 2030. Isn't that a very small target? Your own microphone, Dr. Iyamulemye.
Oscar, if we look for it's not many feet that we can reach there. The second country in the world producing coffee after Brazil is Vietnam, and they stand at 28 million bags. So if we hit that million bags per se, it's the 20 million Uganda shillings per household we would be achieving. And therefore the true north is about the money, the value that comes in the pockets of the farmers, the revenue that comes to the coffers of the government, through taxes, through other investments, but also importantly the actual jobs created. So it's a bigger issue beyond the 20 million bags.
I agree. Are you able to put a financial target instead of you keep saying 20 million bags, but you need to look at productivity? How are you working towards getting the 20 million bags?
Our target was to have 20 million bags, fetching 1.5 billion US dollars by 2030. And I can tell you we have already surpassed at the midterm. We have collected 845 million US dollars halfway, when we are on at 5.76 million bags. So in terms of revenue, we have done much more than expected, and the way we are pushing for value-added coffee, the specialty coffees, we are going to hit that target and beyond.
I am looking at your roadmap here, saying to get 20 bags of coffee production, 20 million bags of production, 2025, 2030. You are looking at demand and value addition, then production and enablers. Those are the three brackets you've singled out.
Three pillars, yes.
3 pillars. Why?
3 pillars. When we are looking at production, you first look at the market. You have to look first at the demand. If I just look at production, so we are looking at first creating demand, adding value to our coffee. That will stimulate production. And within production, we are looking at not only the producing of the coffee itself, we have also to look at the land where the production is going to be done. And then when we look at the enabling environment, we have to look at the rows for improving the quality. We have to look at also the planting materials. Those are the seedlings and the seeds. And we have to look at, of course, the money to enable those processes to take place. Yeah, so we have been focusing mainly on the demand and value addition. That's why we do the promotion. You may know that UCDA has an office in China. We are also looking at the Maghreb, the North Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia. They drink Harari coffee. So that coffee, once they import it from countries like Uganda, they re-export it to the Middle East. But also we are looking at the Middle East itself.
You said halal coffee or halal, you know?
Halal.
Halal.
Halal. What is coffee which is not touched by Muslims? Of course, it's not considered as holy coffee. Mr. Semuju will correct me here. So we are exporting a lot of coffee, for example, to Sudan, the Khartoum. It's the largest coffee importer from Uganda after Italy.
Even now?
Yeah, even now. And that coffee, of course, is not all consumed in Sudan.
Even in what they're drinking.
Re-exported
In where they have
to
no money.
Egypt, the Middle East. It gets all the way to North Africa. So we are looking directly to the bilaterals, and you've been following the Algeria Business Forum. You've been looking at the UIA Business Forum. We are looking at all these new markets, but also maintaining our traditional market of European Union, which takes between 55 to 60% of our coffee.
Dr. Yamlemia, I'm really being nice to you so far on the program. Let's welcome Honorable Peter Ogwang. You're most welcome to the Capital Gang. Is that a yellow jersey or a Peter Ogwang jersey?
Well, like you've read it, first of all, you cannot distinguish yellow from me. I am part of the yellow family, so I'm just putting on the Ugandan color, and that is entirely the red Uganda. And I want to request Honorable Semuju Nganda to bear with me for now. I thank you, but thank you for inviting me.
What do I have to do with your dressing?
Let's go back to Dr. Yamlemia. So, supporting local coffee businesses, how are you doing that?
Coffee, as you may know, is a value chain crop. So we start from seed. We have people who are producing seed. We certify those coffee gardens. We have also farmers who produce seedlings. We certified all those seedlings. Those are all businesses. They are creating jobs. They are making money. We look at the farmers who are in the processing. We are providing some processing equipment, the harrows, the wet mills. We are also looking at the roasters. This is an area where many of the farmers, most of those who were involved in the production, were only selling green coffee. But we are seeing also many of them adding value, roasting their own coffee. So we are training them on the roasting, but also providing the equipment for roasting. So the whole value chain, we are looking at it as a business, and we are providing the necessary support, both in terms of soft skills, but also the hard skills like equipment. And of course, providing, looking for markets for some of those coffees.
Then what do you mean by saying you're improving quality of planting material?
Oscar, probably for the listeners.
And they are listening. Very soon you'll see them sending questions.
You're
gone?
The planting materials, we support the breeding of the new varieties, which are highly productive, disease resistant, and drought tolerant. 10% of the money that comes to UCDA is transferred to the coffee research to develop new varieties. We are looking at farmers not only expanding the acreage, but also from the one plant they have planted to maximize the production. So productivity is the amount of the quantity you produce per unit tree, per unit area.
And finally, on the nice part, access to inputs. At some point, there'd been a big argument about taxing inputs and so on. Have you been able to help local businesses and local farmers access quality inputs
Inputs
at cheaper costs?
Inputs are threefold. There is where UCDA is involved. There is where it's the the bigger government of Uganda involved. Through Ministry of Agriculture, they regulate the fertilizers, they regulate the agrochemicals. But for UCDA, we are mainly restricted on the planting materials. Those are the seed and seedlings. So, but we've been also supporting through Ministry of Finance, where there is equipment that is coming in the country to argue that is part of value addition so that taxes are lowered. But of course, it's still a bigger issue, a tax policy. We believe, for example, the packaging materials, the packaging materials should be exempt so that we can promote more packaging of the value-added coffee. But that's, again, another discussion by the tax people.
Okay, and yes, it's a big discussion, Dr. Iyamuremye. But since you've given us some coffee, do you want to speak about the coffee you're giving us?
Oscar, I think for us, we not only speak about the coffee, we actually drink the coffee. The coffee you're handling is one of the best coffees in the world. Recently, we send our coffees to Paris to compete among the big coffee producers of coffee. And 2 of our coffees won gold. That is Sasa coffee from Elgon, the Gorilla Highlands coffee from Kisoro. We had also other 12 which won gold, which won bronze and silver. And therefore, our coffee is not doing very badly in the world stage.
These were processed already?
Yes, roast and ground coffee. The proportion is still low. But we are focusing on increasing more of the processed coffee, and we export the roast and ground coffee. But also Value Addition has the certification, the organic, fair trade, and the Rainforest Alliance coffee. So Value Addition is not only the roast and ground, as long as you can get additional money from your coffee.
Yeah.
Through certification, that's Value Addition.
Bravo, well done. And you've gone into the area I wanted us to go into, to put to you that maybe you are not the main player of coffee in Uganda. There's Madame Penetti, who was contracted, I don't know whether by your good office, to improve Value Addition. And then recently we have a hub being opened in Serbia by another person who is commercializing coffee. So Semuju here, just before we came on air, was saying you are now the small person of coffee. You have no control over these people.
I think you may be aware that the coffee trade is liberalized. Any player that comes in the country is much welcome, as long as it creates jobs, it brings revenue to the country. Even you, Oscar, I welcome you, and I hope by next planting season, you can start from planting coffee. So, be it Penetti, being Semuju, being Abdul Katuntu, all Ugandans and all foreigners who want investment in Uganda.
All of them are welcome.
Yes.
Honorable Semuju, you've had the good news from Dr. Iyamuremye. He's going places.
Oscar, thank you for...
Thank you, Star Cafe. Listeners, you're hearing the noises. Moses and Peter Ogwang are very busy.
I think let me go back to the same old story of coffee, Oscar. Just to make those who are...
say welcome to gang, Honorable Abdul Katuntu. You all this travel has given you this stock of shirts that are... every Saturday
they sell no shirts in Uganda.
These ones, they have been washed by tap water.
I'm sure these are the ones they have banned.
Okay.
So you see, Oscar, let me go back to the old story. Yes. I have said it many times, just for those who are hearing it for the first time. By around 1962 or around there, Uganda was selling 3.6 million bags. We built the first dam in Jinja, the first electricity, using the Coffee Stabilization Fund. The late Ab Mayanja told me that fund had grown very big. It had even started, government was using it to offer scholarships. In fact, his scholarship to Cambridge was came from that fund, and they're offering scholarship to many others. So coffee at that time, I think that's why even still at our time when we went to school, it was being profiled and described as the backbone of Uganda's economy. Many things have happened, but also the lack of focus. I think one of the biggest trader of coffee is in my constituent, and I've visited them several times. The complaints, part of it featuring in his presentation, the last time I visited, I think now more than 4 years ago, was that Vietnam, which was at 500,000 bag, Vietnam. The last time I had a discussion with them, Vietnam was selling more than 20 million bags. So Vietnam, at the time, 1962, we were selling 3.5 million bags. Vietnam was selling 500,000. They had grown to 20 million bags. Uganda was still at 3-4 now. I hear 6 or 7. But you take these statistics with a pinch of salt. The NRM people and their technocrats are very good at manufacturing statistics. So Vietnam, they now have a roadmap. And I think their roadmap, if I recall, he said by 2030.
2030.
The target is to grow
20 million
bags. I highly doubt, but as I said, you see, NRM people,
to export 20 million bags.
Yeah, NRM people are very good. If they can't get the statistics, if they can't get the production, they will cook the statistics. They will give them to you as if they are selling those bags. Because for the last about 3 years, they have been talking about growth 6-7 million bags, and I'm not sure. I have said I don't trust their statistics. But part of the problem is the lack of focus. The politicians who are responsible for the policy, sometimes they don't act in concert with the technocrats. Just a few years ago, the UCDA was the one distributing seedlings. He did not participate in the revision of the policy. Recently, we are told as MPs we are quarreling in Parliament, where are seedlings? No, the seedlings is now PDM. That's what government now. So the policy now is that they are no longer distributing seedlings. And because they are not the ones who are doing production, you are not providing seedlings. So this sector can only grow by itself. So the predictions you are making are like the ones of meteorological department. You're not responsible for the weather. You just look at it and then make a prediction. You can ask people to begin planting and it doesn't rain. So you are not the one who's producing coffee. You are almost no longer giving any incentives, because Mr. Museveni announced a shift in a policy that he now wants money to go to villages and parishes, and he didn't have the money. So what did he do? He went and picked money from NADS, from UCDA, and from other departments of government, and created a fund of 1 trillion shilling. So I actually want to understand now, what are they doing apart from certifying maybe people who are selling seedlings? Because at that time the biggest activity was by them, and also because of politics, Oscar. The Khartoum is not actually a big consumer of coffee. Khartoum just buys. They go to Cairo and process and sell to Europe. They are just a middleman. They are not the ones consuming what they are buying from Uganda. So the complaint by the traders was that the government had for a very long time failed to eliminate Khartoum. So how can Khartoum come to buy your coffee and then sell it to Egypt? Egypt processes, because they have, I think, the machines that we have in Africa. Khartoum has the best. So if you want to export to Europe, you can only go to Khartoum, to Cairo. So that remains a problem. So the value addition that the president keeps talking about, of course, doing it, so the slogan hearing is okay, but he does it shabbily by bringing in Pinetti, who was initially, until we got to know her, was dealing in furniture, but she came to do the value addition in coffee.
She also has a hospital.
Even hospital, she has never. Her experience starts with Ruoa. So the point is, the roadmap is exciting, Oscar, that we have a target as a country. I only have a problem. I don't think that target is realistic, because government is doing it's almost now washing it, because the money that is going to PDM, money that I have borrowed, and it's not conditional. You cannot tell me that I should grow coffee. You've just lent me money and I will use it the way I want. Initially, money that was going through Iyamuremye, if it was for buying seedlings, it was for buying seedlings. The money that you now send, those who are borrowing that money will determine what they want to use it for, as long as the condition is that you return that money. You borrow 1 million and then you will be returning 80,000 per month. Even that hasn't been sorted out. You saw the government people the other day, they said the president needs to clarify. Did he exempt up to 2 years? Can people start paying? In other areas they are paying. So I am not sure. And all the intervention that have been done, from Ruawogo to Pinetti to everybody, they do them shabbily. The other day it was Salim Saleh, who was in Cairo and China. You remember the trucks he had in Denmark, when there was money to promote the sale of Ugandan coffee to Europe. Saleh took it over. He didn't know what to do. They went and loaded the trucks with coffee and started loitering the streets in Canada and London. But again, going back to the history, and Abdu can bear me witness, when you had the Uganda Coffee Marketing Board with all its problems, you go to London, even the manager responsible for marketing had a house there, was a resident, together with all the staff. All that is no longer happening. So when, and knowing the NRM, when they hear an opportunity has come, one NRM politician will show up and take it over and he will mess it up. So I just pray for the technical people like Iyamuremye. They can continue having this roadmap, but as long as you have the same heads running the state, you're going to run into the same problems, and you cannot make a prediction in a sector where you are not the main player.
Thank you, Honorable Semuju. Mr.
Serbia, whether exporting coffee to China and so forth. In any case, today, if you look at the coffee exporters in Uganda, about almost 80% of the coffee exports is done by multinationals, who are not owned by Ugandans. So the question now is how do we stop not only export the green bean, but also export coffee with value addition. There are people arguing that when you add value, then the coffee loses aroma. I've heard those arguments. But now here somebody is saying Sudan is exporting our coffee with value addition. How come the coffee export with Sudan as a green bean, they add the value from Cairo or wherever? When it goes to Europe, how come it doesn't lose the aroma? So we have had all these during the Pinetti debate. They were saying, you can't add value in Uganda because it will lose the aroma. But other countries are doing it. Those were some of the arguments. It was not from Semuju, but those arguments were being, even here on Capital Ganga, I remember, we had somebody who was saying that.
The biggest problem with Pinetti was the creation of a monopoly.
There was no
because the agreement was saying that Pinetti, first of all, not to be paying taxes, but she will set up a plant here, and everybody must sell it to her until she is satisfied. That's what the draft agreement was saying.
I see, you don't do research. You see, Pinetti needed 60,000 tons of coffee. Now she wanted the screen 18 in the last coffee year. If I follow the Dr. Iyamuremye's figures correct, our coffee exports of green were 15% was green 18. So what you people who are arguing, what you need to do is how do we increase our exports of the best, of one of the best value of values of coffee into green 18. So yes, she needed a monopoly. She needed the supply of what she needs. If somebody is going to add value, and they say but if you are going to export it as raw, I'm going to export it as with value addition. Let me first have what I need. Then beyond that, you can be able to export. That has no problem with that. And that I would see support that monopoly today.
Okay, Moses.
Because it makes economic sense for the country that when you export your coffee with value addition, you earn like 5 times more than if you export it as a raw bean. Now, the people who are fighting were that we want to export the screen 18 and sell it at $2.3 instead of Pinetti adding value and sell it at about $9. Uganda will earn more money with that we're adding value to the screen 18 than just selling it as a green bean. I receive support today.
Yes, of course. But Moses, here's a question for you.
That's where the problem was.
Before a question for you here, before others also join in.
Yes.
You know, my mother regularly listens to Capital Gang, and she's a coffee grower. So how does she
marks you?
Yeah, on coffee she's marking Dr. Yamuleme. So how is Dr. Yamuleme's target going to help her, a woman in Katende?
The target of
20 million bags of coffee and more money for Uganda and so on. Well, where does she fit in Yamuleme's plans?
If she's also growing, first of all, if she's growing coffee, the question is she growing the right variety which Dr. Yamuleme has researched on? Or because people still have the old coffee trees and the productivity is low. So I would advise her to plant the new varieties whose productivity is higher and also use better methods of farming. Use fertilizer, especially organic one, so that she's able to earn more from her coffee tree. Secondly, you also asked a question.
Only your microphone is on.
Wait.
It's only your microphone on.
Semuji was saying, now that there was PDM, how will UCDA succeed in this target? You see, UCDA, I think their major budget used to be about 50 billion shillings a year. They were buying seedlings, yes, and supplying them to the willing farmers who are willing to plant coffee. Now, under PDM, the issue is you get your money. Since you have been willing to plant coffee, go and buy the seedlings yourself. So I don't see a very big challenge. For them, they can continue ensuring quality, ensuring productivity is high, but the farmers already know what they want. So if a farmer wants to plant coffee, they will plant coffee. They will not just force people to plant coffee through the seedlings they were giving out. They will still give them out to the willing people to plant coffee. And already today, you have had here our own Ofono Pondo has been posting pictures on our forum where he's planting coffee. So there are many people who are coming out to plant coffee. And the coffee, I'm sure the coffee planting is going to increase even when UCD is not giving out seedlings.
Okay. Yeah. Let's come to Abdul. Not just yet. Let's have a discussion around the table and then we'll come back to you. I'll get the Minister of Gwang here to speak last.
You need more discussions from Namfi before you can...
Abdul, let me switch off Moses' microphone as well. You also have some coffee trees, Abdul, in Buyende. I recall Butende. And I think just like my mother, your coffee trees have not been influenced by UCDA at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it started from I think my grandfather. And that improved and so on. But I'm sure in many families we still have that problem. It's a challenge. First of all, I was listening to both my friend Yamuleme and Moses. And then I reflected on the history of Ugandan coffee. Uganda as a country, we've been having this cash crop as our cash cow for a very long time. In the 60s, as you know, the economy was basically a cotton coffee economy. A little bit of tea too. A friend of mine retired, the Honorable Retired Major Johnny Kazora, his mother, called the deceased Kakamanjeri, one time told me when I'd gone to visit the family that the Kazoras managed to go to school and there family improved their household income because of the coffee boom of the 60s. And for that, at that time, I think Emilio Obote was voting, was standing as a presidential candidate, said, much as these people NRM, yes, I am going to vote for Emilio Obote because I'm recognizing the coffee boom of the 60s, when Obote was still in power. So, as a country, we should really be proud and say, okay, this sector has been supporting this economy, including the worst of times. During Amin's time, for those of you who we had an embargo, a national embargo, but the smuggling of coffee, especially to Kenya, basically earned Uganda some sort of money to continue going, especially during the turbulent times of Idi Amin. In the early medias of the NRM, things were bungled up because we didn't have a clear policy direction. That's how we got the institution of Coffee Marketing Board literally killed. You remember even the infrastructure it had. Today, Oscar, you go to that Bugolobi place, you know that Coffee Marketing Board infrastructure. We messed it up. But it tells you, when you look at how big that it tells you what the government was trying to do at that time, knowing very well this is what the sector should be. And Mr. Yamleme knows here that throughout the country, the Coffee Marketing Board properties and so on, which were put up because of our earnings in coffee are so high. Now, when you look at this story we are looking at today, Mr. Yamleme, I would love you to tell us more about the challenges you are facing than Moses' posturing. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. I am telling you, because let us be Ugandans. We have a sector which we think can even earn us, we are talking about $800 million, but it has a potential even to go to 1.5 billion. What is it that we can do to get there? What are the obstacles? This gambling of Pineti, of what, does it improve the sector or not? These are the sort of challenges I would like to address my mind, and not to go into, this is this and so on. Uganda is one of the biggest producing countries in the world since the 60s. When at one time, I don't know, in the 60s, we were number what, Mr. Yamleme?
Not far off.
From Brazil.
Not far off.
We are number what?
4.
We are number 3.
We're about number 4.
You see, so you are talking about a big player in the sector.
We are now 17.
So to me, Mr. Yamleme, I want to say, look here, guys, we can achieve this, but only if we address these problems. And then you get a person like me.
You want him to lose his job?
You get a person like me to contribute to the solutions to the problems we have, other than saying, everything is now okay, we are now doing very well.
Okay.
So I think that is a bad way of handling this issue. We can celebrate the achievements, yes, but we can actually do more. I don't want to be excited by mediocre achievements. No, please. I don't. I just want us, and Moses, because you see, Moses is one of the most brilliant people this country has today, with an influential position, because there are not many people in Moses' position who are as intelligent as he is. There are not very many. So I want Moses.
Because he sits across from Laban.
Because he's...
please.
Her microphone is not on.
Okay, thanks God. So to me, I was thinking, Moses, if we can put out... let me give to Mr. Yamleme, the issue of PDM. And say, okay, now get money and buy. I know what it is. Just let us look at the after PDM this year, and you see how many people have gone into farming because of PDM. People have got money and they have gone
Dr.
ahead to buy.
has nothing to say about PDM. That one comes back to Moses.
No, but it affects him.
He does, yes.
It affects him. It is the sector. And Dr. Yamleme is supposed to be our technical advisor in the sector. He's running it. And for us, we are policymakers. And if you don't advise people like Moses who want to do politicking about it, then we are in trouble.
Do you think Yamleme said anything about Pineti?
No, I don't expect him to talk about peanut. Peanut, let us leave it to Moses.
Will he speak about Rwabogo?
Moses is enough with the peanut. I think he does.
What about Rwabogo? Will Yamule speak about Rwabogo? That one also is Moses.
So we have that problem today. We have that problem today about attracting more farmers to grow coffee.
Let's go to Namfi. Namfi, hold on, Dr. Yamule.
No,
you're going to
come
come
in after we give, then you come in. Oscar.
But Namfi, you also have, I saw that you have some coffee trees.
At my farm?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I haven't been converted. My neighbor, Bat Kakoza, is actually doing a lot of coffee. And is he
doing the Yamleme coffee or the old style coffee?
I think
that my mother and
Katuntu
old style
and strictly organic. So I think for now, not yet.
I knew he must have been using the Nakuri, the varieties they have put on the market.
So go on, Nafi.
He had a season where it all failed, and then he tried again. So I think maybe the varieties weren't working if he was using them. I don't know, but will tell us one of these days. Oscar, for me, it is a discussion like this becoming political that is worrying. For example, we had a discussion as Capital Gang members about bringing in less political issues and then more developmental issues for the country, because we have a good audience and listenership who a conversation like this should spur them to go to the gardens and get the 60 acres that they have idling and consider growing coffee on these acres so that we improve our production. So these discussions should be about that. They shouldn't be about Pineti. They shouldn't be about the failing coffee sector. They couldn't be about false optimism. They shouldn't be about ridiculous figures that don't make sense to the listener, because what happens is then the listener just tunes out, switches off that and waits for the next discussion about the next crisis in the country. So my encouragement for discussions like this is that Dr. Yamleme here should give us the potential of the sector, and we sit down and have a very good discussion, a productive discussion that then spurs Ugandans, because we have an elite listenership who can afford actually to get into these sectors. Then say, this is something I should consider. Let me go back to the drawing board.
I've not understood. What are you saying about coffee?
What I'm saying about coffee is I'm very rich background to give us a discussion.
You're also becoming
right
Moses.
Now, we should be discussing, for example, Dr. Yamleme, what happened to the ICO pullout. When we pulled out, are we better? Did we succeed in leaving ICO? These are the things when
because the last time he was here,
the last time we discussed this. So we should be discussing the numbers before and after ICO pull out. How did it help us? And the not the politics, but the thinking and the decision behind that. Then we should go on to discuss the numbers, because we are looking at $800-900 million. And when you look at the numbers in China, the coffee consumership has grown to over $15.3 billion in consumption in China. All Uganda needs is 2-3 of those billions. And when you look at the president telling us that he went all the way to Oyam and saw chunks for two hours. 2 hours, you're driving about over how many square miles? And there's nothing on the ground there. We've been blessed with rich soils that in any part of Uganda, all they need is testing and confirmation that so we need to stop looking at small time farming of this product that, like Abdul said, has been a cash cow for Uganda for so many years. We are placed in such a good advantage position that we need to take advantage of. It's not enough to give us the numbers and then you see the First Son getting so much money to put in this sector. You see the government wasting $1 trillion shillings on PDM. What if we invested 1 trillion shillings in coffee, just coffee? We got 2 big time farmers to help the outgrowers. They have their farms of, like, say, 9 square miles of coffee, and then they are helping out growers who are growing coffee on the side, and then we are reaching out to markets like China. It could even be the raw coffee that we export and still would do better than now, instead of jumping the gun and then go straight to let's refine our coffee, let's do value addition. The argument, Moses, about value addition, no one argues with us. Even my brother Semuju here, who argues against anything NRM, cannot argue about the argument for value addition. But then if you gloss over all the problems that you have, and then concentrate on value addition, then you're not going to get you will add the value, but it's still not solve the fundamental problems that the sector has. So yes, I'm looking at Dr. Iyamleme's roadmap here, and it's very optimistic, like many things in Uganda. The figures look good at a glance. In the midterm, in the long term, we look, but how are we going to get the wider public to come on board? It is not because already a lot of the public distrust anything that comes from Moses or Ofonopondo or NRM at this point, because they have earned that. No one is going to trust the numbers Moses is going to come and give us here. But how do we get the public to come on board to trust that Dr. Iyamleme here is giving us the numbers that are going to spur somebody who has a square mile? Instead of selling it, they say, I have investment. So we have to work on the investment in the sector, on agricultural insurance, like we were talking about last week, on so many things before we even get to value addition. And then when we get to value addition, it doesn't help the country if then you start fronting Pineti, you start fronting Rabogo, and those suspicious figures who the country has distrusted for such a long time. So for me, the conversation should not even be political. It should be how, at the end of this discussion, we should be encouraging Ugandans to come and do this. And how do you encourage them? Tell them that at the end of this road, at the end of your coffee road, 2-3 years down the road, your life is going to be fundamentally changed, and that of the lives around you.
Okay.
There is so much potential.
Thank you.
We shouldn't sit on it.
Let's go to Honorable Peter Ogwang. I don't know if he has planted any coffee.
First of all, I'd like to begin by
He only knows animals.
I want first
no coffee in Teso.
I want first to begin by thanking you, Oscar, and all the panelists here for inviting me to be on the Capital Gang.
We have a hot seat for you in a few minutes.
No problem, and I'm ready for that. And of course, my brother Semuju, when you're here and you listen to him attentively, if you're not a farm person, he can intimidate you, and that is Semuju anyway. That is for me and him. Now, I also want to thank, first of all, my mentor here. I am what I am because of Mr. Moses Biaruhanga. So I'm privileged today that I'm seated in the same table with him. I want to thank him for making me who I am, because most people don't know who I am. No, please. No. I've been consistent. So for that, I want you to protect me, Mr. Oscar.
You ignore all and go to coffee now.
Now, that needs to be investigated, and I leave that to the panelists.
But
here.
don't worry, nothing was heard by the audience.
Now, first of all, I want to appreciate the discussion which is taking place here. And like all of us and most of us are observing that this discussion, we really need to tailor it on the area where we need to see where we should be, and also pick up a few areas where we seem not to be doing well. And I want to address myself to the following question, and I'm happy that the ED, Uganda Coffee, is here. The following are first of all my areas of concern. I'm aware the country is zoned. And that's why the question of whether Teso grows coffee or not, I'm aware that in Teso there's 1 or 2 districts now. That's Kaberemaido, Kalaki area, that's along the shores of Lake Kyoga. There seems to be coffee growing there. Now in the areas where
Kaberemaido should not be Teso.
In the areas where coffee is entirely grown, like where Honorable Semuju Nganda comes from, that is in Chanzanga, I have the following observations, particularly for my brother, the ED here. What needs to be done to increase coffee production in that specific and coffee and growing in that specific area?
Productivity.
Yes, as government, are we doing the correct thing? And if we are not, how do we support the farmers to increase on this productivity to help us increase on the exports? Number 2, I am talking about PDM. Have we carried out research as of now in the areas where coffee is grown, whether the farmers who have accessed this money are giving this money specifically to buy coffee seedlings, and they are planting seedlings and planting coffee? Number 3, how have we managed to enter into the big markets? What strategy do we have? I have just returned from Russia. I've been in Russia, in Palm City. We're having temperatures at almost negative. And that's a big market. I asked my colleague, the Minister of Sports of the Russian Federation, whether our Ugandan coffee and our ambassador, we seems to be entirely not taking advantage of some of those big markets. So when we talk about India,
when me and Oscar were in Russia a few years ago, on the shelves, there was Ethiopian coffee, Rwanda coffee, Kenya coffee, and so on. Nothing Uganda.
I want to talk about India, China, talk about the Arab world, talk about Australia, talk about America. What strategy do we have directly to focus on our product, particularly the coffee we're talking about, in that big market? The other one, as I conclude on that specific subject matter, is that I think we need to appreciate efforts made by some good Ugandans who are trying to help us market our coffee in some of these markets we are talking about, the few markets we have got. And there is a little bit strategy as government, where I am, we must come up to say, how do we help such farmers or such specific businessmen to allow our coffee continue to be in that area. But for me, who comes from the area, I'm a cattle keeper like Moses, but I'm also going to try to think 1 acre of coffee, because I feel this coffee authority needs to do a lot in terms of helping us also the other areas which in our considered opinion have been taken not growing coffee to be brought on board by carrying out research specifically on our soils. So, Mr. Oscar, I think that is an area where I can be able to put it to add in an input. And as far as the discussion is concerned, I thank you so much.
Thank you. When we're going to stop for a break, and after the break, we'll get to Dr. Iyamuleme to respond to so many things. We have a regular listener, Nandala Mukota, says, Oscar, these targets of UCDA likely will not be met. Ever since UCDA was formed in 1991, they have targets of 20 million bags by 2020. They have not reached half these targets. Why Uganda should embrace maybe cocoa growing as the best crop earner. Brazil cultivates 20 million acres and earns only $6 billion US. And from exports, Ivory Coast Ivory Coast grows on 5 million acres of cocoa and earns $5.2 billion US from exports. And right now, because of huge earnings from cocoa in West Africa, Brazil and other Latin countries are making a paradigm shift to cocoa. I don't know if that's true, but Dr. Iyamuleme will respond. Let's stop for a break.
91.3 Capital FM. This week on Desert Island Discs.
I have Dr. Jimmy Spire Sentong.
It was so much fun, about an unfortunate thing. It was painful, but seeing that the ministry was also not settled. And before I know it, the permanent secretary has blocked me. I start making noise about this. Dr. Twine, you have blocked me. You have to unblock me. We have to speak
have
to
a conversation.
You. Whether you like it or not, you're supposed to be responsive. You're supposed to be serving us. Friday evening, she has unblocked
me. Oh, come on.
The Desert Island Discs. Talking success every Sunday at 7 p.m. with Flavia on Capital FM. Keep it locked, baby. Fresh hits for Uganda.
If you try to imagine the taste of a regular cup of coffee as a sound, it would probably sound like this. Not nice, but perhaps it may sound like this. Better, but not great. Now allow us to present the sound of the taste of Star Cafe Premium Coffee. Now that's the sound of a great coffee taste. Because only the finest Ugandan coffee goes into making the Star Cafe Premium. It's great. The greatest coffee experience.
Grab a bottle of Coke. Drink, scan, and enjoy the vibe. Your next Coke could be your ticket to a world of magic. Enjoy a Coke. Scan the QR code in-store or on Coke Kamini and stand a chance to enjoy great music experiences at Coke Studios festivals. Check out our latest music collisions and follow us on social media for more mouth-watering experiences. Coke Studios runs from 1st September to 30th November. Terms and conditions apply. Coke Studios, back with real magic.
Hello, Mama. How did you sleep? How is Salongo? And Grandma? How about Simba, the dog?
Call Bona on any network in Uganda with Airtel Bona voice bundles. Dial *100*1#. Select Call Bona to choose bundles from as low as 1,000 shillings from daily, weekly, monthly, or bundles that don't expire. Call Bona on any network in Uganda with Airtel. A reason to imagine.
The Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM.
Welcome back from the break. And in the break, yes, we were taking Star Coffee and discussing a lot of coffee talk. So, Dr. Eyamulemye, let's give you 2 microphones for your responses to all. Go on, please.
Thank you, Oscar, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm not a politician, and I will veer away as much as possible from that, but I will give you the empirical figures, and I want Semuju to trust the figures. Because these figures are captured by UBOS, these figures are captured by URA. In exports, these figures are captured by Bank of Uganda. They are real figures. But I will turn to my brother, Honorable, to really bring him on board and to inform him that actually the driest area in Uganda is Karamoja. And 3 districts in Karamoja are Bim. Starting with Bim, we have other areas in Karamoja which are growing coffee. So Katakwi is possible. Other areas, Kapberamedo, we actually, it's a coffee growing area. We are recently testing other areas within the Teso region. So all these areas are possible, and there are only 3 factors required. 1, we need to have these varieties which are tolerant to drought. It's not true that the rains themselves, the total amounts are lower than other parts of the country. It's only that when it comes, there is a high runoff of the water. So if we harvested this water, it's possible to have this coffee growing in this area. That brings me to the issue of
irrigation.
There is a runoff. You can trap water either by dams,
yes,
but also you can have shallow wells. You don't have to have necessarily the drip irrigation for every farmer. Israel itself, which is a quarter of the population, is a quarter of the area which is
Oscar, sorry, I don't want to disrupt Dr. Eyamulemye. But it's like he's doing an essay for secondary school. Because in a position where you are, you should be telling us things that you are doing. But I said, if we do this, if we do this, if we do this, then why do we have you here?
I'm telling you where we have already, that Karamoja, we are growing coffee. 94% of the country is arable and is possible to grow coffee. We are growing coffee in 86% of the country. We moved from 72 districts. We are now in 126 districts. This is a fact. So I'm not talking about projections. I'm talking about the real areas we are growing coffee. Most of you, and I know you are all right, you looked at the call for expression of interest for large, medium, and large-scale farmers. We are now doing evaluation. What I tell you is we have over 1,500 people who have applied for this. These are areas in offices. These are people in Chikubo. Coffee is moving from peasantry, people who are looking at how to make money. If we look at the number of acreage of farmers who have moved from half acre, 2 acres, now to 50 acres, 200 acres, 1,000 acres, the number is increasing. And that's where the focus is looking at. so that even the coffee seedlings we are talking about distribution, a farmer who has 50 acres, we are providing them the seedlings to have a mother garden where they can be harvesting to replace the old clones, to replace those which are not performing very well. This we are demonstrating and it is happening, and I want to invite many of you to join us. This matching grant we are putting up is in addition to the PDM. PDM is addressing smallholder farmers. We have over 8 million euros. We are working.
Put it in Ugandan money.
Sorry?
Put it in Ugandan money. 8 million euros.
Multiply by 4,000, we get around 32 billion Uganda shillings. That's just one core in one season. And there is still more. So what we are trying to say is we have been thinking as smallholder farmers. The average Ugandan is producing half acre to 2.5 acres. For us, our ambition is to look at 10 acres and above. So our call for applications was 10 acres. It's half acre to 2.5 acres. That is the normal coffee production. But for us to be commercially, to think about value addition, to think about tertiary processing, we have to be thinking about a commercial production. That's why we are looking at 10 acres and above.
And 1,000 people have applied.
Over 1,500. That's the first core. And the people we are talking about are people like us in this room.
14 hunters.
You know, one of them on the phone, he has planted coffee already. Haven't you seen him?
If you look at people like Ian Clark, a medical person who left his hospital and investing 1,500 acres of coffee. Oscar, I have numbers here of the churches. You have mobilized the churches, and I can tell you from even by name how many churches are producing, planting coffee on the church land. And that's for us an area which we are looking at a lot of uninteressed land, and where we need to show that by planting coffee that you make more money. Kazo, which was traditionally a cattle producing area, is now is turning to coffee. And we are looking at integration of planting coffee with those who are having animals, so that there is an integration, of course, with the manure, but also if you get money from milk, you can invest in coffee when it is still before the production. Coffee starts production, high production, after 3 years, that's when you break even. But then you will continue earning that money up to 60 years. Now, after 10 years, you have to stamp all the coffee trees to rejuvenate their production. So there are a lot of potentials, and we are seeing especially people who are coming in with the purpose of running coffee as a private sector other than just relying on government. That's why we are talking of the matching grant, where a farmer is going to, government is contributing 40% and the private sector is producing 60%, rather than relying on the seedlings from the government. Now, in terms of strategy to promote coffee in emerging markets, we have seen, and these numbers don't lie, Morocco is now one of the, in Africa, after Sudan. Sudan is the traditional market. We have Morocco, we have Algeria, we have Tunisia. These are importing Ugandan coffee. The coffee is going to these countries, whether they are brokers or not, they are giving us money. So
there's a market.
There is a market. We have seen the Middle East.
From Chanzanga, where he comes from.
We have seen the Middle East. The Middle East is a logistics center. It is between Europe and Asia, and we've seen after the
final word from you, Dr.
After the Dubai Expo, exports in those markets have increased. Much of this coffee is also going to Russia. We are having a big volume of coffee directly going to Russia, and thanks for the bilateral discussions we've been having. Our embassy in Russia, what they are promoting our own coffee.
Thank you,
China,
you, Doctor.
we have China is the biggest.
I want to close out this.
Coffee consumption is highest in China. They are turning from tea to coffee, and that's why we set up a UCDA office so that we link them to the to Ugandan exporters to add value, also to buy to
Thank you.
export the green beans.
Moses, you wanted to talk about 37 billion and Mr. Rwabugo.
You see, one thing, Dr. Yamure is still here. Because whenever, most of the things I talk about coffee, I always call him to get technical information from him. And so, no, Rwabugo is a policymaker like me. But we also need both of us need both of us need Dr. Yamuremye. Now, he's talking about marketing. Part of the problem.
Who is talking about marketing?
Rwabugo is about marketing of the coffee. We have the coffee bean. We want to add value to the coffee bean. When the issue of Peneti came up in Parliament and in our media, people are saying, how about supporting Ugandan exporters to reach those markets? So the Rwabugo initiative is bringing some Ugandan coffee exporters together to reach out those markets. But one of the challenges most of the Ugandan coffee farmers, exporters face is capital. They are not well capitalized. As I told you, about 80 or plus percent of our coffee exports is run by multinationals. These are people who can buy coffee, hold it for some time, even sell at a better price. Our hours are undercapitalized. So that fund they put there was to help Ugandan coffee exporters. A call which was been coming out from Parliament, from everywhere, and even in the recommendation of Parliament was saying support Ugandan exporters. So it is not money going to Rwabugo, the personal office. It's money going to support Ugandan exporters, reach markets like Serbia, Russia, China. Those is not about. So I wanted to make that clarification.
Okay.
So it's not money for Rwabugo, it's money to support Ugandan coffee exporters, and we need more. $10 million is nothing. We need more money.
Thank you.
We need more money. We need more money to support Ugandans so that they can reach more bigger markets in the world, so that we earn more from coffee. As the president has been explaining, the coffee industry in the world is $465 billion. The coffee exporters, Brazil, Uganda, Ethiopia, all together, earn only $25 billion. From that 465, the Africans, the African exporters, including Uganda, earn 2.5 billion. Now Uganda is coming close to $1 billion. So meaning that with 1 billion coming to Uganda, the rest of Africa is earning only 1.5 billion. So that's why we need to go to the niche markets with value addition and earn more money. Simple. Yeah.
Thank you very much. You see, for you, whenever you have your 2 minutes, they become 10 minutes and then open another discussion. What I'll do is I'll get you to include them in the next discussion.
No, the next discussion is different. I'm talking about coffee. I would have finished by now if you're not.
We should have had the whole show about coffee.
Indeed, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Honorable.
More important.
Hold on. You'll be able to. Honorable Ogwang, time for you in the hot seat. So let's grab microphone to you. Pardon?
Netball Federation.
To netball. So from coffee to netball.
Why have you disbanded the Netball Federation?
In fact, that's not the way to put it.
Yes.
The big question is, Honorable Gwang, it looks like you have no control over the National Council of Sports. Because if we have our biggest export in the Netball Association, and now it lands into trouble, if it is cancelled out and all, they lose their position in the world. They have been good ambassadors for Uganda world over. There was a time at the World Cup, the whole country was talking about Uganda. Even there's a gang here, Abdu started watching netball. He stood up, went to the TV.
Even those are legitimate.
Yes. So, on the microphone.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me and for giving sports this very, very important time, because for us to get an opportunity to come to the capital gang to discuss sports is entirely one I must appreciate the management.
And this is the second one this month.
Yes.
Because earlier in the month we had Mr. Moses Magogo.
Secondly,
Honorable Moses Magogo. Salong.
Secondly, I am happy that Honorable Katuntu can guide as a senior lawyer. The matter you are beginning to take me in is before court, and it's coming for the hearing on 30th, because I would like to request that maybe you would permit me to come back.
But have you heard the way I framed the question?
Yes, I have heard.
Yes, I said,
you've said that.
Do you have any control over National Council
National Council of Sports is an agency.
Do they listen to you?
National Council of Sports is an agency in the Ministry of Education and Sports, under my total control and command.
You say under my total control and command.
And of course, even me under control of the Minister of Education and Sports, who is the First Lady. However, we have had quite many issues, to be honest, guess. We have 51 federations in the country. Out of the 51, we have had issues. When I was handed in office, the Hanover report by my brother Hamson Oboa mentioned about 3 federations with more issues. Among them was the Netball Federation, boxing, and basketball. But I want to say that boxing and basketball seems to be getting to move on the right track. And what are the issues? One of them are the issues of governance within their respective constitutions, where I, as a supervisor and the regulator, most times when they go there, they amend their constitutions, others protest, what. Those issues end up by coming to the what? To the regulator. So the number 2 is lack of accountability of public funds. By all means, we give money to these federations. Unfortunately, these federations have been running in a way that once they advance money, they don't want to account. At the end of the day, they come to most of us here because they are privileged that we are not supporting them. But you know the laws of this country that you must account for public funds. For instance, the World Cup, we're talking about netball.
No, you said you leave netball out of it.
But let me talk about other federations. I'm aware of one federation where we gave them about 980 million. Out of the 980 million, what I call an athlete or a player in the budget was only meant to get $15. $15, can you imagine? But where is the other money? The other money has been put in areas where they consume.
Officials.
Oh, they eat money from. So Ogwang should sit there and look at some of these things. The athletes are complaining directly. What has been happening there is they don't have systems. Once you send money, instead of money being sent direct to the accounts of the players or the athletes whom we call the most valuable persons, and is the reason we are there. It was not the case. They go and withdraw money, then distribute. You makes noise, you're given more. Who doesn't make noise, you're given less. So these are the issues which have come in firmly. First of all, to create a sense of accountability and value for money. Now
that money thing is big. Don't exonerate yourself as well, because even the athletes complain that you mostly give to football.
I'm coming
there.
That
is where
I will
put the
address
money.
all those issues because I know them. Now, the question is, we send money nowadays to federations, but before money is sent to those federations, we ensure that we look at the budgets which come from federation. An athlete, in my considered opinion, as of now, what is happening, they are getting better money than before. I want to give an example of Uganda Athletics Federation, who have just returned from the World Athletics Championship in Budapest. For the first time, these athletes each person has earned 10 million. Ever since they started running. But the council you're talking about, it has been there. What has brought the changes? Is that because we're beginning now to put our areas of efforts and emphasis on supporting an athlete. Number 2, even dress code, like the way I'm dressed. What has been happening, money goes there, they come with their claims. We are going to dress Team Uganda. There was a time I went to Thailand. Do you know what happened? I'm sorry to mention this. One federation had only four kits for 12 athletes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
So they had to.
You must run, then you come back, then you undress. I was there.
With
as a
the
member.
sweat, you give it
For
to
the
Namfuka.
sweat. What I'm telling you is a fact. This is true. Yes, because I'm speaking the truth here. I was there. I came back. I was mad. I said, can this continue under our watch? So the moment you continue tightening, issues now begin emerging. Because for me, remember also, and you must have seen this, these big tournaments, what has been happening, I normally call them tourists. We, the privileged, are the ones who go in more. Then the athletes, who must be given enough facilitations, are the ones who are few, who even are paid less. Now, what we are doing now, we have said, please, for God's sake, we the privileged, unless you're important in, you have a role to play, then you can go. If not, please remain. So some of these things, some federations, remember, I am sorry to mention this, we are using these opportunities of traveling out of Uganda for international competition to take some Ugandans out there to go and do cheyo. So for me, as a minister of the sector, I am putting up systems to curtail, to control this. And that's where now you see there's a problem. Parliament is here. What has been happening, most of these things have gone to Parliament. Parliament comes up with the reports and recommendations. Which recommendations? I am extremely implementing them. For me as a minister in the sports subsector, I'm following up.
For example,
I want to talk about who are these federations?
Not netball.
I don't want to talk about netball.
Yeah.
Who are, no, I don't want to put Honorable Semuju to put me there. Who are these federations? For instance,
Honorable Semuju, I agree with you. We are looking at Ogwang here with very annoyed faces about netball, but we shall not speak about it. So I've switched off your microphone every time you speak about netball because the case is in court. You can speak about National Council of Sports.
Oscar, for instance, Parliament asked me a question. Why are you giving money to these federations? Who are they? These are private entities. What safeguard do you have for the public funds? That was Parliament. Are you getting me? These were valid questions from Parliament. Now that they are not accounting, what obligations you have to enforce accountability? I went back and said they have genuine reasons. So now we have come up with a safeguard. It's a recommendation of Parliament which said that before we begin to advance, and it is also now in the new law which we have approved, before we begin advancing money to this federation, we must have the memorandum of understanding because these are private entities.
But FIFA accounts to FIFA, not to you.
No, I'm talking about government money. But even as government now, according to the new law, whatever FIFA sends, we must know as government how much has FIFA sent to FIFA.
Okay.
And for what? And that is the current law now. If I talk about FIFA, it is again, the questions come, why is FIFA getting 17 billion? First, let me go on record. The most popular sport is football. Secondly, FIFA went and lobbied from the president. The president gave them a directive that the national team, which is the Cranes, must be sponsored by government. Government must pay a national team.
But the most successful team is netball.
No, I'm coming.
So
if you want me to talk about the most successful team, the president said, the president said the national team coach for football must be sponsored. FIFA operates as 10 national teams, 10 competitions. So if you're talking about 17, divide by 10, that tells you that each team is getting 1.7 billion. So that tells you that even that money alone
is not a lot.
It's very little. But the challenge is out here in the public, people think that's a lot of money. Friends, the sports investment is very expensive. Sports world over, private sector supports it. In Uganda, I want to interest the private sector to come out and support the sports. For instance, let me talk about the very FIFA now. Advertisement. The new law now, by the way, has given a leverage to federations if they take advantage of it. Let me talk about the kit. As of now, it is only if it is a FIFA limited, it's the FIFA who has a right to print the kits of football. And the law now compels you goes to begin bringing, how do we call it? From Chikubo. You are penalized. So now if you want to be a supplier, FIFA can have its agents get commission and sell the kits. Same to netball, but even advertisements. So for me, I want to tell you
Yes,
that
I buy from FUFA as well.
yes. So I want to encourage Ugandans and specifically sportsmen and women and the federations that part of the challenges which are giving their work to fail to get money from the private sector is because of bad governance. And those are the internal contradictions. So which company would want to put its money in a sport which has its internal contradictions? Serious companies don't. But these are the things which the National Council of Sports you're talking about, I am now beginning to re-emphasize, take them to go and carry out awareness or sensitize those people on good corporate governance issues as far as sports is concerned. So, on the question of netball, I want to say, as of now,
He's not on microphone.
As of now, I want to be honest that I will be much more interested to discuss the matter and to tell the public the chronology of what the challenges, I want to say the then Netball Federation. No, I want to correct that clearly. It is not Museveni's wife, it is the Ministry of Education, which, and specifically the regulator, which has withdrawn its certificate based on the reasons which don't want to disclose because we're in court as of now. Thank you.
No, you can disclose even when you're in court.
No.
The Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM.
This November, the Capital FM Break-Off Tour comes to your city. Yes, this will be at LI Park, Arua City on Saturday, the 4th of November from 10 a.m. till late. Come enjoy fun games, competitions, and big cash prizes. Watch great performances from Ali and Skill, Freak from Makers, Bastiniana, our own girl Jackie Chandiru, Monopoly, King Water, Rapper Blue Tits, Andrew Frank, Afro Wine, Super Snazzy, and many more as we fire up Arua City. Entrance is 10K general and 30K VIP. The Capital FM Break-Off concert is organized by Tayewa Media and Events and sponsored by
Refreshingly different. Alcohol is not for sale to persons under 18. Please drink responsibly.
MedPal International Hospital will be holding an ear, nose, and throat camp on Tuesday, 31st October 2023. Do you or your child have any of the symptoms below? Noisy breathing, breathlessness, wheezing, persistent flu and cough, persistent ear and throat infections, persistent fevers, poor appetite or poor feeding, and many others? Please book an appointment today and have yourself reviewed by our consultants on Tuesday, 31st October at Medipal International Hospital. We shall extend a 30% discount on consultation and selected lab investigations. Medipal International Hospital is located on John Babiha, Acacia Avenue, Plot 1A, Lower Kololo Terrace. For more, call 0787 701 269. That is 0787 701 269.
Call Bona today. Enjoy the best value on your conversations with anyone on any network in Uganda with Airtel Bona voice bundles. Dial star 100 star 1 hash. Select Call Bona to get started.
The Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM.
Welcome back. Welcome back from the break. It was a bit of a noisy break. Honorable Semuju, so do you then think that Peter Ogwang has a difficult job managing National Council of Sports? Because my question to him was, does he have any power or influence over National Council of Sports? And he has given a spirited defense, but do you think he does?
First of all, I was sympathetic when Ogwanga was appointed Minister for Sports, and I didn't say it in Parliament, because the funding to the sports sector at one time was 1.5 billion, I think 5. So the whole subsector of sports at one time had only a commissioner, a minister, and a driver. The whole subsector. Yes, they had a driver, a commissioner, and a minister. I said, it is true.
That
and I said,
didn't have an assistant commissioner.
No, only a commissioner. He didn't even have a secretary.
He's sympathizing with you.
So I said, why have they taken my friend to almost an existing ministry? But I like Ogwang because I saw the energy he had put in the Minister for Economic Monitoring. That was lacking and it went with him. Now I don't even remember who the minister is, the one they put there. But also Ogwang is not an outsider. This is a State House son. And in the circumstances that we find ourselves as a country, these are the people, Biaranga, Ogwang, who have grown up in the State House that you need in a position. Because they are not ordinary minister, I don't think you will find time to meet Qatar. Yet she runs the ministry from her sitting room and bedroom in State House. But having said that, Oscar, this is true. I speak about this with pain. But having said that, recently the budget for the sports increased to 40.
National Council of Sports, 48.
Yeah, that's the subsector, to 48. And I think from 15, I don't know whether the budget for Gwang I don't know whether it has increased. But I looked at Nigeria almost 10 years ago. The equivalent of National Council of Sports in Nigeria, that more than 10 years ago when I was doing research on sports, Nigeria was putting 250 billion shilling in their equivalent of National Council for Sports. The trouble is that sports is run by private federations. These private federations, by their background, don't want to account. I remember one time President Museveni came to watch a football match in Nambole. He was almost sacking the FIFA president. He didn't know until he was told, no, you have no power over him. Because of the dressing, because of many things. During the break, I was still in the media. We were told he was quarreling and he said, this guy sack him. He said, no, we can't sack him, sir. So the relationship between the state and federation is a bit tricky. That's why I'm concerned with Ogwang and his supervisor, Honorable Kataha, disbanding after messing up the Netball Federation by you and your supervisor. So the money that is there that people are quarreling over is also little money. If you want to go and compete with these countries, you need to put their money. But also, because I see now a desire and appetite by Ogwanga and his supervisor, because they want to improve, so they want to run these things now directly. I see that. And I want to see them there, but they must be very careful because you're going to cost us as a country, like others who have tried to do the thing that you are doing ended up. Because these federations, by their nature now, they will raise complaints and then you will be suspended, like many other African countries have before. So, Oscar, for me, the money that we put there as parliament is still too little if you want to compete with the best in the world. We need, and of course, my own feeling was that sports should even be a ministry on its own. Maybe you can add their youth and then allow it to run not in the bedroom of the president, because the wife is tired, but she also very difficult to access. This netball I have been following. You hear she's the one who has put a General Brigadier Viekwa, so they are quarreling with the Babiri, who is a former NRM MP. So the whole mess at Ogwanga's desk, and the question he asked is whether he will be able to deal with the National Council of Sports. There it is easier because the National Council of Sports is statutory. Government can interfere. But him interfering in FUFA, in the Netball Federation, in boxing. The other day, the boxing chairman was Niruzira. And I think it's a...
Ali boxed somebody.
And would you be surprised if a boxing chairman?
Why does an honorable Semujungana complete the statement? Who sent the president?
This is what I want to see. My prayer to you is that invest heavily in the sports infrastructure. When you finish the infrastructure, create a framework. I hope the new law will be implemented. Create a framework where the government money can be accounted. Because the private money that we pay entering the gate, you will have, generally you can, but you cannot directly go and force accountability there. Otherwise, you are going to run into trouble. And sports in the whole world, see how many investigations have been done about FIFA itself. and how many people in FIFA are getting arrested almost the other day. So it's a bit difficult, but I pray for you. I like you as a person, but please stop running the sports in the bedroom of the president.
Oscar, why don't I make clarification?
Not yet. Honorable Katonda.
First of all, we need to be very careful here. One of the best ambassador a country can have is sports. And we've seen that the world all over. Two, one of the uniting factors in this country is sports.
Exactly.
So as a country, we cannot afford to mess up this sector. That's number one. Number two, government should fully support sports. Even this sort of money this federation raise is certainly very little money. At the end of the day, they would need the public resources to be invested in their federation. Unfortunately for the law, once there is public money, it attracts Auditor General's auditing. It's automatic. That's the illegal requirement. So these federations should know once they demand, even if it's 1 shilling, they have already opened up the door. And yet they need the money and also need to invest the sports. Because this thing is not about these private people coming together. It is about a country. So as long as
Ogwang needs to look at our annoyed faces.
Yes, as long as we put money there, we must audit what is going on. And the governance issues are always there, and they'll always be there the world over, where public money is. I can't say responsible minister saying, well, by the way, those things are private things, therefore. Then why is he a minister for the sector? And I need to congratulate both his predecessor, Hamson Bua, and Ogwang here. To me, they have been the best.
The boss is not available.
How can the boss? They have been the best for this sector. One, we've increased the public funding. As a result of them making case in the cabinet during the budget process and then the Minister of Finance providing resources. There was little money. Though even the one we've increased is not. It is still too little. We even need to put in more. But the more we put in, the more accountability we will demand. The more reason, by the way, even if it's their private sector federations, there is no way Parliament will not look into their affairs. It's not possible whether they are conducting because these are public affairs. They are private federation, but the sports is public. A public good. Yeah. So to me,
even private Parliament is us.
Yes, exactly. So to me, Honorable Guam, go ahead and clean up the entire mess.
Yeah, Namfi.
In the ministry?
In the National Council of Sports.
I would be impressed if I see heads rolling. I haven't seen any.
Namfi, go to the microphone. I remember actually. Yes, you're on microphone. Namfi says, I'm on microphone. Yes, you are.
She was there looking at Honorable Gwanga so closely. Hey. Please, you are.
We are giving Ogwang looks to show we are annoyed.
Before I see heads rolling, I'm not going to be impressed.
Do you remember the other day you talked here on Gang about money delivered to Rwanda for basketballers? Was it Ogwang that sent that money?
No, the first family, Muhozi sent the money. That's what we were complaining about. Why does it have to be Muhozi sending money to our team which is stranded in Rwanda?
Maybe got it from Ogwang.
Because think about it. How did our team get there? Then they're stranded. Where did he get it from? Does he have other sources of income that we don't know about? He's a public figure. He's an Army General, so he needs to be audited by IGJ. Okay, so many questions there which need answers. Now,
Honorable Gwang, she really talked a lot about that basketball money.
I was actually, you see, like when he says that they got to, what country was it? In Asia, the Asian Games? Thailand. And then you find out that we are sharing shirts.
Very annoying.
Oscar, how much are shirts? This is not even 200,000 shillings that you need. And yet, did anyone resign over that? Did anyone?
You make your submission. He's taking notes.
They will tell you this is a private...
They'll tell us it's a private matter. Because the people there and the person in the position whose head should be rolling has connections which poor Honorable Gwang here cannot even start to touch. So you see, your work is you can gloss over it, but your work is cut out for you if you're to improve even this sports sector. When you say we need more funding, at the end of the day, this is Uganda with a limited resource basket. We have to prioritize our funding. So if you have a if you have private federations, they need to show us what they are doing for us. It's a case of, to those who have more shall be added. You see, the reason why you see football can lobby and get more funding is because at least they're somewhere, they're showing something. Recently, at least, we are hosting the African Cup of Africa. Yes, football the world over. But you see, at the end of the day, if they didn't have anything, you remember when they were a mess during Obua's time. There was an Obua who used to head FUFA.
Yes.
You remember him?
Yes.
Dennis, yes, that one. So at that point, football was still the biggest game on the planet, but still you were hard-pressed to even give them any money. But what I'm saying, Honorable, is if heads can roll, and you treat sports as a business, like a private business, like the way you see MTN is treated. There's profit margins, there is investment. We invested this amount of money. How many trophies do we get? Do we withdraw funding? Leave these things of netball. We are withdrawing the certification. Now we are in court. Those are petty fights that are going to just roll you back. To move forward, I think when heads start rolling in the sports sector, we'll be more impressed by the work you're doing to make the changes. Otherwise, it's going to still remain a flea-infested.
We have a young person, all the people will retire, starting with
Go, Nafi. Nafi?
Yes. No, Oscar, that's my submission about the sport.
Moses, you're on. Peter, there's also a comment here. Ask Ogwang about misuse of sports facilities for commercial events at the detriment of the sports they are supposed to promote. Examples, cricket, hockey, boxing. All these you have host commercial activities on sports grounds. Moses, you're on microphone.
Thank you, Oscar. Well, what do I say about sports? I'm happy that the Honorable Peter Ogwang, the Minister of State for Sports and MP for Ngariam.
In the constituents and the main village.
You know your microphone.
Is doing well. Is doing well. So listen. You see, Honorable Ogwang mentioned that I mentored him. So he worked with me at State House for like 10 years.
Yes.
In the youth department. So I'm happy the work he's doing. So it means I'm a very good leader. So
he has said you are good for you.
Wait. So Semuju is unlucky that he never worked under me. That's what should have been a better person. But that on the side, that on the side. Well, we need to invest in sports as there are many people. We need to invest in sports as a country. There's no doubt about it. It's a good. Honorable Katonda said through sports it attracts tourism. In fact, when you host games like now, we are the one coming ahead in 2027. The East African countries, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania, which will host the jointly. It will first of all, the people who will be coming here to play from our countries will be, some of them will be coming to Uganda for the first time. They will see Uganda. Uganda will be in international media and so forth on TV. So sports is good to market the country.
Yes,
it's good to market the country. I remember we were talking about netball when those ladies, where were they? Ablu?
Australia.
Australia. Yeah. So that video was went viral. I even kept it myself. So really, we need to market. We need to market sports market our country. It's very good. I want to comment on what Semuju has been saying about the Honorable Minister of Sports. The Honorable Minister of Sports, education and sports, the overall, the Honorable Janet Museveni, she's accessible. At least no ministry person can say they don't access her. They do access her. When you write her, Even if someone wrote her, any letter you wrote her will reach her. She replies all the letters. Her office replies all the letters they receive. And so that issue of inaccessibility is not there.
Okay.
Well, you may not believe me, but the point I'm making is that the Honorable Janet Museveni is accessible in her ministry as required.
Thank you. Let's now back to you, Honorable Ogwang. Another message here. This is from Omongole, lawyer. Omongole says,
Omongole, not Emongole.
Omongole. Yes, I said Omongole. So, Oscar, tell the doctor and Minister Ogwang to respect the comparative advantage of each sub-region in the country. Trying to spread coffee growing will instead kill it instead. Like dairy farming, where every region is involved, but no meat or milk is exported. If Ogwang wants to grow coffee, let him buy land in central Uganda. This idea of spreading killed our cows and brought rotting oranges to Teso. Listen to your leader.
All my brother knows about, I know why he's actually conflicted. When he talks about cows, I know he's a beneficiary of too many things. That is not for here. So let me address the subject matter why I'm here. First of all, I would like to thank the panelists here and all the listeners out there for the questions and the good comments they have given. I have the following observations. Like Senior Moses has said, the Honorable Minister of Education and Sports is accessible. At any minute, I'm coming there because she's a minister. And number two, I want to address myself to a few issues. The question of the stranded basketball team in Kigali then. Those are some of the issues which we are now addressing. Government gave money, but what the federation then did was to entirely not put money to its purpose. And at the end of the day, this. But I'm coming to talk about their resignation. At the end of the day, these are people who manage their own affairs based on their constitutions. When we try to go in, they say we are interfering. So what we have as government is a certificate. And that's why the powers we have as government, as a regulator, is entirely to withdraw our certificate. And the moment we withdraw our certificate, there's no federation. That's all. So I want to put it on record that problem was sorted. And by the way, basketball as of now is one of the best performing federations because they sat down and addressed some of the issues they had. And even us as government, we raised the red flag that you seem to be going beyond the red line. The second issue is on the issue of what? Of treating sports as a business. True, I entirely agree with you that these federation leaders should accept to learn to treat that sport they own as a business. It helps them in terms of growth. The issue of sports infrastructure is one area Oscar will again request you to give us some time to come here.
I certainly will.
Because that's a big area for purposes of developing sports in this country. World over, governments work with the private sector to invest in infrastructure development. And I want to talk about the Lugogo Indo project. We have secured a company which is going to construct state-of-the-art 15,000-seat arena, indoor arena in Lugogo. And that will change. No, we are not bringing Penetti. This information is public. And in the next 2 months, I know we will sign a formal contract between that company, it's a Turkish company, which has constructed stadiums and this kind of infrastructure in 183 countries across the world, including the Kigali Arena, by the way.
This is for Lugogo?
Yes, that's Lugogo.
Because I was on the committee for the one that refurbished with the stadium with MTN.
The MTN, no, that all is going to go down.
No, we did more. We brought seats and we also brought a floor. And it hosts badminton. Doesn't it host badminton tournaments?
It does.
We want to powerful.
I want to thank you, Oscar, for the good work you did.
Yes.
As of now,
yes,
to be honest, it is helping.
Yes.
I just imagine if at that time you had not done that work, it would have been a
problem. Yes, and now, it has been overused and it is old. But we stipulated no more weddings in there.
But I want to
Oscar,
confirm.
Yes.
Before Ogwanga leaves, I want to know when we will stop playing football from Algeria, from Katakwi, when Uganda will be playing in Uganda.
It's about infrastructure.
I'm coming to a talk to tell. I know you're also conflicted. It is in your consensus, but I'm going to address that. Now,
go on.
Now, I want to say this. First, I want to allay all the fears of the people who talk about the sport of us with young and certificate. True, we've done it, but we're also in touch with the World Netball, and I want to confirm the World Netball is coming up to put up what is in the law, the harmonization committee. That harmonization committee is going to be appointed by the World Netball in line with our law. That will fast track the entire process of how the Netball Federation should be brought back and government register it. And we're looking at events which are coming. African Netball Championship is going to be there, and Uganda has to participate. So, fellow countrymen and women, we are cognizant of what we need to do, but I also want to say we cannot allow a few selfish individuals to kill the sports. Which sport is bigger for all of us as a nation? That we will continue to enforce. The other one which I want to talk about is a question of what? I think this I've addressed. Semuju said about General Bekwaso. What I want to again tell.
That one we leave.
There's only one information. It's not about court.
No, but that one let's leave.
Why?
The reason why I'm bringing
they are the ones in court.
There's only one. She's not in court. The person has taken as government. General Bekwaso is an elected vice president of that federation then.
Yeah, but
so is the president.
Listen,
the president is also elected.
Then, because I'm talking about the defunct.
Let's leave that. Let's go to the next one. Honorable Semuju, the moderator has asked you on record.
No, that one I want to put it on record also.
I thought when the president is not available, the vice takes over.
As the moderator has asked you, go to the next one. Okay, now. Yes, and the next one is using those facilities for commercial events.
Talk about the facilities. It's true.
And sometimes the
money which is collected goes to the consolidated funds, because as far as I'm concerned, before any service provider is given opportunity to hire that facility, it has to pay money to government. So that's whatever national Lugogo talk about, where again do we have maybe now Mbole now, which is coming up.
Does Lugogo flood as well?
Yes, it does. It does. And that's why we are saying Lugogo is a cricket oval. Are we clear there? We needed to have worked on a drainage system. Yes. Unfortunately, that work was not done. But I want now to confirm, we can't do it because we are going to have a new project in that area. And that project, that is the Indoor Arena.
Yeah.
It is the entire 12.8 acres is going to be taken over and as an arena, which will accommodate more sport. We will transfer, and we're already in negotiation with Kyambogo University. We will transfer the cricket oval, and we will develop it to the modern cricket oval in Kyambogo. On Inambole, Honorable Semuju, I want to officially invite you to go with me. Listen, I'm coming to talk about that. The contract extension we agreed ends on 30th of November. As of now, seats have already been put in place. As of now, the construction of the pitch is also getting into its final stage. They have already planted grass. As of now, even the second pitch, which is outside, there's grass being planted. And the final touches on fixing what needs to be done is what's taking place. When I expect to be handed the facility on 30th of November this year. And I want to say this 4 weeks today. And I want to thank the UPDF and the team which has been working on that pitch. The other one is for information.
Go on.
For information purposes. I want today to welcome most of the people. I see my young brother there. He seems to be a rugby player. That today we have what we call a rugby fan. Today we have what we call.
The most organized
we first listen to me. We have what we call the Victoria Cup. The Victoria Cup is for 3 countries. That's Uganda, Kenya, and Zambia. 15 rugby 15. There's going to be a game, and I want to request you, Honorable Semuju. It's in your constituency. It is in Byogerere. Please, I don't know whether I should invite you or you should invite me, but it is in Byogerere. So
please go on. Please go on.
But what I want to say, the word I was saying, I am meaning that it is in Honorable Semuju's constituency.
Yeah, that's okay.
Now, Bweyo Gerere.
Yes.
Aha. Now let me put it
But
on Bweyo Gerere.
Yes.
So Honorable Semuju, is that in your constituency?
Honorable Gwan,
The other one,
finish with this one.
The other one.
Listen to this one. Let's finish with Caesar Atoki says at Semoyam Soke, the minister and his team must learn to sort out accountability issues without impacting the sports themselves.
Yeah.
They can deal with individuals, but shield the rest of the sports, especially the ones that have been making great positive strides.
That's what we tried. Unfortunately, the individuals resisted. So let me now say this.
So in conclusion,
I also want to thank the Kabaka.
Yeah.
I want to thank the Kabaka of Uganda.
Okay, now that one, speak.
Because today we have the Masaza Cup final, and I want to interest all of us. Yes, the Masaza Cup final. It's taking place today in Wankulukuko. I want to invite those who are able to join His Highness the Kabaka of Buganda for that great game. I want to thank the kingdom because it has really been promoting sports development in the kingdom of Buganda, and I call upon other kingdoms to join and to see what Buganda is doing. Yeah, I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me Moses, to finish the show, because we have our gangster in high places being written letters about a particular PS saying return the power. So how does that affect our friend Ramadan and his implementing his work?
He's doing very well.
That's the only answer.
But when it was, for me, I was very happy with the Geraldine. How do you continue paying Sudiri money and you have your own building? Because she may not have followed all the procedures, but nobody can justify continuing to rent.
Why didn't you say
building.
that in Parliament?
No, I wasn't there the day they were discussing that.
Okay, so thank you, listeners of the Capital Gang. Thank you, Honorable Katuntu, Honorable Semuju, Honorable Ogbang. Thank you, Moses Biarohanga. And when Moses is in studio, we have Mega Coffee. We had a coffee discussion here, and Dr. Yamulemie has gone. I'd wanted to ask him, Moses, who's listening in Munich with Simple Radio, wanted to ask him what happened to Ban Cafe. We have Dick in Chigo says UCDA can't help us in the villages. Star Cafe, thank you so much for powering gang. Thank you, Namfi. I am Oscar Semoyam Soke, and I shall see you next week.